What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Alex G alongside Mal. It's a couple of things podcast where we're here to talk about a couple of things.
I don't
Let's
even
do
know
it.
where to start because it's been a while. We've been kind of MIA, but a lot of things happened. That's why, we had our episode or two when we first moved here, right? But then it's still just transitioning into like our new life. It's been a lot. I actually really don't know why we haven't been filming now.
No, nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing really significant happened, but we're back, kinda. We'll see if we if we keep it up. But we just felt like this was like the things that have been happening lately have been important to talk about that we kind of wanted to give our 2 cents on. So it's kind of gave us the little urge, gave me the
You,
urge, gave
yeah,
me.
not we.
But yeah. I mean, we can get into that later unless you want to start off with that.
It's on you. You got all the topics today.
Well, that's just that. What other things have really happened? I mean, Olympics are on right now, so USA Pride. I love having just one place to represent. Like I don't feel like what's the word? When you're kind of like conflicted. I don't feel conflicted around this time of year because I'm always gonna root for one country, USA. So we rooting for them. I think they just got a gold as we just watched in the 4x1 for swimming for men's. But yeah, the Olympic times is my favorite time. Like I love the Olympics. I'm just a sports fan, and obviously like I love USA Pride. So right now, there's women's beach volleyball, and the women are doing pretty good. I think this is a semifinal. I'm not sure. I got to get the Olympic schedule, but I love the Olympic times. We can't wait for track. I think track starts in August, so we have a few days for that. I think it starts next week. So, we love track, swimming, and gymnastics. That's my top three, right? Track, swimming, and gymnastics. How about you?
Everything.
Yeah, we like
I
everything.
don't have a favorite.
Do you ever like as a basketball fan though? Do you ever feel like you tap into the basketball or not because it's not the competition is not as high since it's.
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, yes, because obviously we got bamboozled last time, right? Like with that mentality.
Yeah, they got trash.
Yeah.
That's happened a few times in the past 20 years.
Interesting. Are you gonna tap into this year for sure? Right? LeBron might be LeBron's last time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly care, to be honest with you, because watching the Olympics is to me the same as watching the NBA because like Giannis and Jamal Murray were going at it earlier today, so it's kind of like it's almost like a repeat.
They played today.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So
yeah,
it's
that's
kind of
true.
like
But
I don't know.
We love the Olympics.
I think the one thing about the USA team, which I don't love, is Embiid being on the team.
Mm-hmm. Go play for Cameroon.
They don't have a team, and I get it.
They don't play at all.
But like
that's kind of crazy. Like you're taking that opportunity away from like people who were like born here, like been here. Like for somebody who literally was like an immigrant. Like okay, yeah, he lives here, but like after that opportunity could have went towards the actual like born and bred American.
Yeah.
Like just take the L. You didn't have to play at all. Like, but who's not in that could have took his place.
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
The Finals MVP.
Yeah, literally. Like, but hey, let the what's
No,
the
granted,
Notre Dame? What's the guy
Joel Embiid is probably
from Notre Dame? Hunchback of Notre Dame. Let him play.
not even probably. He's top 10 NBA players.
No, for sure. But when it comes to the Olympics, like it should have been. Like, let's be fair. Let's be fair here.
Yeah.
Like living someplace isn't the same as being like from the place, in my opinion. But hey, it's whatever, I guess, at this point. But yeah, we're looking forward to all the events. And ironically, we're going to Paris like a month after the Olympics ends. We'll be there mid-September. Really excited for that. My 4th year out the country for my birthday. Well, this time I'll be in America for my actual birthday. Like my birthday's a Monday. But my 4th year in a row celebrating my birthday overseas. We also have booked our wedding venue. That's exciting. That's an update on us. Exciting times. We booked our wedding venue for 62626. So they have 2 years. Expensive. So it's good that we have 2 years because got to save our coins. But yeah, so it was a really exciting times for us. And yeah. So should we get into our topics? I don't know, but
Yeah, go for it.
I guess we could get straight into it, right? Like just start with the main topic. But so let's talk about like politics that happened in like the past few like weeks. So we were just in DC in Baltimore. So the whole DMV region. Like, was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Was that 2 weeks?
Something like
Right.
that. Yeah.
So when we were there, of course we were in DC, right? And of all places, we were at the Pentagon Memorial, 9/11 Memorial. We were literally walking around, and I look at my phone randomly, and it was like 10 minutes ago. Trump was shot at his, like, what was it, like one of those campaign, like, what's the word for it?
The rally.
Yeah, like a rally. And I was like, what? Like, I feel like we've been alive for so much crazy stuff that sometimes when I hear news, like, my brain doesn't process it. And I feel like me and Alex literally didn't process what exactly went on. Because it was just like, oh, he got shot at. Like, we're so used to so much chaos happening in this country, I feel like, and in this world, that like hearing that was just like, we were just like, oh. And I just put that phone down. We continued to be at the Pentagon. But then now, like, weeks later, we're like, okay, that was crazy. Like, he could have died. But that kind of started like the chain effect, I feel like, recently in politics of like chaos and craziness. So that happened. And then Biden got sick with COVID, right? And then we find out literally it was like another scenario where I was just on the phone with my mom and we were just sitting here and I looked at my phone and I just happened to see it. It was like Biden dropped out. And I was like, wait, Biden dropped out the election? So, and then he endorsed, is it Kamala? I feel like I keep saying her name wrong. Kamala, right? It's Kamala. Mm-hmm. He endorsed Kamala as president. And now she's officially like in the running for like the Democratic representative in the election for 2024, which is right around the corner. It's about to be August. So we have August, September, October, and then November. So we have like 3-4 months, which is insane. To be this late in the game having a new candidate. Like, she didn't really even campaign long at all. So yeah, that's been like the last 2 weeks in craziness in politics. Like, our ex-president, who might be the president again, almost got killed. And now we're having the first like multiracial woman and the first woman again, like Hillary. That's like, I guess she's the second, right, running for president, and who's the candidate, the representative. So this has created a whole conversation, like with Kamala being now who could be elected. This created a whole conversation around her racial identity, about like if she's a black woman. That's like been the biggest thing, and like the biggest question everybody I feel like been trying to like talk about lately is Kamala black? Is she black? And we're gonna answer that. So what do you think, Alex? Is she black? Is Kamala a black woman to you? Like, when you think of a black woman, does she represent that for you?
No.
Okay. My answer also is no. If anybody wants to know, is no. And the reason why is because I feel like the issue here that a lot of people have problems, I think, conceptualizing is there's a difference between race, ethnicity, and nationality. It's a very basic concept that I feel a lot of people just can't grasp.
It's not basic, but
it is not basic because it gets very convoluted. But it is, but it isn't. So I feel like when people think black, they just think anybody who has black phenotypes, black skin, black heritage. I feel like there's two groups too. There's one group that follows the racist one drop rule. So they think anybody who has any type of black racial in them, like black race in them, they're just black. That's a black man. That's a black woman. Just because they have any mixture of black in them, they just automatically label them as black, which is the one drop rule, which we should not be following because white supremacists created that rule that anybody that has black in them is black. So why should we keep continuing to push that? And then there's another group that feels like, she's multiracial, right? But I feel like the idea of blackness, like, it just gets convoluted because in America, black with a capital B is also ethnicity. So it gets confusing because when we talk about black with a capital B, we're talking about a specific group of people who were either here before slavery or came here due to slavery. Specifically, our group of people who created the Black American culture, who were slaves in the United States. It's a very specific group of us. Like a lot of us who have the story of the Great Migration of our parents coming up, like our parents or grandparents coming from the southern U.S., we're a very specific group. And I feel like everybody who's either born here or immigrated here who have black skin try to jump onto that identity when it's not the same. Like there is a difference between capital B black and a lowercase b black. That I feel like it's confusing a lot of people here. So yeah, black with a lowercase b is race, racial identification. That's based off phenotype, skin tone, etc. Right? And a lot of it is rooted in having some type of DNA that's attached to the continent of Africa. But then there's the culture and the ethnicity of black with a capital B, which is a specific group, which, mostly known as African American, but I like to use the term Black American, a specific group of people who are descended from slavery in the United States specifically. So when we're talking about is Kamala Black racially, because of her Jamaican descent, yes, she has Black mixed in her racially. But do I view her as a representation of Black with a capital B woman? No, like she's not a representation of me at all. We have a different life, a different culture, a different lineage. You know what I mean? And I feel like just to throw anybody who has any type of Black mixed in them to represent me is not like I don't agree with that. Like same thing with Obama. Like Obama, like yes, he was a Black president. He was a multiracial, biracial president, racially Black, but he still doesn't represent anything to me culturally because his dad's from Kenya and his mom is like a white woman and they grew up in Hawaii. That has no connection to me, my life, or my history in this country. And I think for him, Black Americans weren't at the forefront of his priorities for anything because that he has no relation to that. He's a Kenyan Hawaiian American. Like what like our issues and he has a Black American wife and half Black American kids, right? So maybe like he would have some type of like representation for us, like as far as like wanting more for us. But at the end of the day, he still doesn't represent me. I like when he had Black in him. So, but I don't view him as the first Black president. I view him as like he biracial. He had Black in him. So and he looks very Black, right? Like his features, his phenotypes. So like the one drop rule kind of wouldn't even really apply to him. Like he looks like it's based off phenotypes and like image. But it's like until there's a person that's in that who's a president who's like Black mom, Black dad, I don't say like any of these people are the first Black. Like they're just mixed with Black. So, and I don't get why that's an issue. Like, isn't that kind of funny? Like how it becomes like an issue for people when you say like, oh, they're not Black because she's not. She's biracial. And what's wrong with that? Like, why do they feel offended by being called what they are? Right. Mm-hmm. So interesting, but then that makes you question like, why are you offended? Like, let's get to the root of why. So yeah, I mean that was kind of long drawn out, but what do you have any like points?
I think that to me, I think it makes more sense to group people by nationality than ethnicity because.
You mean race?
No, that's not what I said.
Well, no, but ethnicity and nationality are very interchangeable. Like when you say someone's Nigerian, that's their ethnicity and that's also their nationality. But then they're Black, racially. Like I feel like ethnicity and nationality go so hand in hand that I feel like it does make sense to actually group them together, right?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry, just make your point.
Yeah, I think there's a miscategorization of. I think the way people categorize things is off, and I think that leads to a lot of confusion. And people use different interchangeable terminologies, and that's why nobody understands the way that things should actually be divided. And I think it causes a lot of confusion. I don't think that there's a debate about whether or not she should be considered Black. And because we can just see who her parents were, so that's not like it's not really like a debatable topic. I don't view this as strongly as other people do because I feel like this is what people wanted set up, right? Like this is like the same mentality that this particular group of people has with always constantly wanting to invite other people into the culture. And
you talking about us?
Yeah. And
it's our fault, low key.
And it's other people's fault too. Like, here's my thing. I think the word Black is why all of this is fucked up because realistically, everybody that has certain melanated skin all comes from Africa as a whole. Mm-hmm. And that's what it should be. Mm-hmm. So there's Afro-Caribbean, Afro-Latina, mm-hmm. Afro-American, Afro-everything, mm-hmm. Afro all over the place. And that's really what should be the higher umbrella parent level to everything is if you have certain levels of African in you, which we all do across all of
and
the
even
diaspora.
Black Americans, we have our highest percentage is African. Right. Yeah, we have European and native mixed in us, but our highest percentage is African.
Right.
Yeah.
So because of that, that should be the umbrella term.
Mm-hmm.
It should be Afro whatever or African whatever. It shouldn't be black anything. The reason why it becomes convoluted is because the people that were dropped off in the Caribbean, even historically, they used the term Negro as well, and people use the equivalent of Negro in Spanish, which is Negro in Spanish. They use that in Europe as well, but they used their version of what that is, which is obviously translates to black in English.
Mm-hmm.
But then in America, when we took African slaves, which mixed with the Europeans, then that differentiation became African American, which is technically wrong because if you were born in a country, then you're not from Africa. If you were born in America, you're not African American.
Why am I being labeled as African American when I can't pinpoint a single ancestor that's been in Africa for centuries. But yeah, sorry.
And the problem with that is that eventually the term black was applied to African Americans. So the word black to me is wrong, and the word African American to me is wrong. There needs to be another term to identify people with slave descent in America. And
they're trying with the FBA thing.
But it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
Which is also why I actually don't really care about this topic too much, because there's like no point.
It's just unfortunate because because they just view America as this mixture pot. So they don't even view us who come from slavery as our own specific group, even though we're the one that literally created the coolness that's associated with being black. Like people call a spade, but we're the ones who did it. Come on. No one was looking to Africa as a movement of black empowerment. It all came from America. So it just sucks that we don't have our own identifying thing that's so clearly defined. Because everybody who's just black living here could just stake claim to our culture and think that they were part of something that they're not. Your ancestors wasn't on the forefronts, like fighting for peace here and civil rights. Like they were still at home. Some of them were. I'm not gonna say. Obviously, like Marcus Garvey. There's a lot of history of people who came from other countries that were a part of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about a lot of people that I know personally are first generation. Like their parents, someone who's immigrated here, and they'll be the same people trying to stake claim into our culture. And I feel that's not fair because if I had parents who immigrated to another country, I would never try to claim that country as my own. But the problem is we don't have our own clear identifiers, which is what you're saying. We don't have a clear identifier. Anybody could say, oh, I'm Black American because I'm black and I live in America and I was born here. They could easily claim that when it's not their shit. You know what I mean? And it's very frustrating because it's just like this is, in my opinion, there's going to be like an erasure that happens over the next like hundreds of years. Like our group is going to get erased because everything's just going to be too mixy.
This is why I feel like there shouldn't be a differentiation at some point because.
But everybody else gets to have their differentiation. And that's why I don't like.
But even them differentiating themselves is wrong. If they differentiate themselves because they're first generation, then that makes more sense to me. But to me, it's kind of a weird thing because the foundational black people that were enslaved here. Mm-hmm. My thing is because once the people that were enslaved here and are foundational black Americans, they're not the only contributors to black culture, and that's why it becomes so hard to define these things.
But they're the primary contributors to black culture. Like if people like to bring up Kool Herc, who helped with hip hop. He still came here and he hid his Jamaican heritage because black people was like, we don't want to hear that shit. So all he did was
play black music.
Yeah, all he did was like embed himself into our culture, and then he gets looked at as like, oh, he's a founder of the hip hop, but he didn't use any Jamaican his own culture to create the thing. He just became. Like he just adapted to the Black American experience that was already happening here, and then helped with the growth and like the spreading of hip hop. But hip hop's core is always gonna be in the blues. It's always still gonna be true Black American culture.
I also don't really credit him with hip hop, but that's just me.
But a lot of them do. A lot of Jamaicans try to claim it. But I'm like, and then if it's a Jamaican, then why didn't it come out of Jamaica? It came out of the Bronx, New York. Like, you know what I mean? Like you think one man had that much influence, like with his culture, like that he created a whole genre? Like, no, he adapted to a Black American system. They didn't want to hear that Jamaican music here. We was like, turn that shit off. Like we didn't want to hear it, but then they'll still try to act like his contribution as a Caribbean had a huge impact into Black Americanness.
We're not being very organized in this conversation at all.
Yeah, but it's fine. We're just talking.
So no, because she's from Jamaica.
Her dad's Jamaican. Her mom's Indian.
So that's it. That's all there is to it to me. It's like there's nothing really to debate.
People think just because they think her Jamaican background detonates her as a Black woman in America, which Yeah, it does racially. She has black in her,
But
but
but see, that's where people keep losing me because
you know what it
they
boils
don't
down
call
to? Well, yes, okay.
what do they call themselves in their country?
They call themselves by their country name,
Right.
which is funny because
So that's it, right? There's no she's black then, right? Because
yeah, and
what do
that's what I
you
hate though, because they try to say like, oh, we're trying to have a monopoly on blackness, but we're the only people that call each other ourselves black through and through. You guys, like that's the thing. You look back in time too. They want to erase their history so bad. You used to ask people like, oh, you used to say like, oh, you're black, you're black. You're like, oh, I'm not black. I'm not. I'm Jamaican.
me no black,
I'm not black. I'm Nigerian.
me
I'm not black.
Dominican.
I'm Ghanaian. Like no one ever wanted to say they were black because being black was just associated with being black American. But now black is cool. So now everybody wants to say, oh yeah, I'm black. I'm black. I'm black. Like
Yeah,
it's
and they're
so
not wrong.
frustrating. Yeah,
That's
and they're
what
not wrong
that's
because they are racially. We're
no.
melanated.
Let me explain what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're not wrong. You're not, right? You're not.
That's the point.
And
Yeah, they were right.
that's why I hate having these conversations because they're so stupid and like I'm not gonna say they're draining because I actually don't care, but that whole trying to make everybody like people that were slaves here trying to make it like the Pan African thing. We're all from Africa, blah blah. All that is true. Everybody's from Africa.
Yeah.
The whole world is from Africa.
Yeah.
But also the whole Dominican people are black and blah blah blah.
Yeah, you can't just throw that label onto everybody.
Right, which
Yeah.
I get it. If you're using black by the incorrect definition, in my opinion, then yeah, they are. But no, the definition would be African. It wouldn't be the differentiation of being black.
That's where things got confused. So you say, oh, Dominican are blacks, and now them wearing bamboo earrings and talking AAV is okay because they're black. When we're talking about skin, melanation, basically being melanated. We're not talking about black, the culture, and black, the ethnicity. Like, but then it gets convoluted, and it is our fault too because a lot of our people had troubles with identity crises, so they just wanted to like identify with like Africa, and that's where the whole Pan Africanism thing came from. It was just this lost identity of not knowing where you're from, right? That whole conversation. So a lot of our people actually contributed to this mess that we're trying to now clean up at the same time. So we gotta take accountability. We just wanted everybody to say they were black just because they have black skin. You know what I mean?
It's too late. It's already over.
It's just messy because they just confuse it with the culture. There's no individual identifier that our culture though is separate. It doesn't matter if we share the same skin tone. It's still a separate culture that you're not in. You're not. I don't care if you grew up around it and your friends were it. Like that's not your culture though. Like I would never grow up in another culture and then try to claim it as mine just because I learned it from my friends and from reality TV. I mean, not sitcom TV. You know what I mean? And reality TV. So it's just messy. But I feel like why it's so important in America is because someone like Kamala Harris, right? She could be a representation of a black woman in America. But what I find, especially in politics, a lot of people who are a representation of black people in America don't have any history of being black in America, if that makes sense. So somebody like Kamala, the things that she's saying might be portrayed as how black people in America feel as a whole, when it's not true. Like somebody like Kamala, is she really gonna have reparations as a priority to her to help black people in this country when she has no stake on reparations? Her Jamaican lineage has no stake on American reparations. Her Indian lineage has no stake onto American reparations. So, but when things get convoluted, everybody's going to just view her as a black representation, not realizing that there's nuance there and that she's Jamaican American, and Jamaicans are not really going to prioritize black American reparations because she has a benefit from them. But she still, as to white America and to other people outside of black people, are going to be viewed as a voice of black people. And that's why I have an issue with, because she's that representation for us. And like this, Obama, there's plenty of other people who have black skin and black DNA who end up becoming a representation and a voice for us, but they're not really a voice for us. You know what I mean? That's why I have an issue with it, because it's actually no pure representation of what the core black people who are descended from slaves in this country need. And none of this has anything to say what my voting stance is going to be. Like, I don't want people to try to think that, oh, so you voted for Trump. Like, I don't have get things twisted. I'm just saying that I'm talking specifically on what's the issue here. Because is she really going to be pulling for what as a black woman in this country, is she really going to be a representation of what I need and what I want? No, because we're not the same. She's not like us. Like, she's not. She's no relation to me, except we have a shared common ancestor probably somewhere in Africa. That's our only shared identity is our African DNA. Other than that, she's a Jamaican and Indian American, with a whole completely different culture than I have. Her parents came here and got to move here, and have a whole different story than my parents who've been here, than my grandparents who've been here, than my great grandparents who've been here. Both sides. My great great grandparents who've been here. You know what I mean? Like it goes deep. Who've been on this land and worked for this land and built this land. She's not gonna have that same passion. And that's why I have an issue with her identity, because it's like, no, she doesn't identify as a black woman, and to me, because she has, like, my story is not the same as hers. And just because we share the melanation, because Jamaicans have black in them because they're from Africa also. No, for me, that's not the same as being a black American born and bred through and through on both sides of the family, who are owed reparations and are owed certain, like, look at how our people are redlining, all the different stuff our people have to go through in this country. You think somebody who came here and who fled their country and benefited from the American system is going to have the same passion for what my people need? No, and that's why I don't view her as a black person, a black woman. Like, yeah, racially, she's black.
No, not racially.
No, I'm saying, but no, because race is different than ethnicity. Like, everybody who has melanated skin is still black racially, but they're not.
Nah, but
black
that name is still wrong. To me, that name is wrong.
But the name black is used as a race identifier, though. It is.
It shouldn't be.
Then what should it be used? Melanation? Melanated skin?
No, because it should be African. And the reason why is because if you're talking about melanated, then people in India are darker than me.
That's true.
They're black as hell.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then but they don't identify them. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like I hate, like, let's say what it is, right?
Yeah.
Where people came from Africa and migrated to,
Yeah.
right? The Africans that are in London, all the dark-skinned people that are in London and the UK, they're from Africa. The people that are in the Caribbean, they're from Africa. Us, we initially were from Africa. Like, there is a differentiation.
Yeah.
But the people in Africa were not necessarily in India. They did travel to India. We know that to be a fact. But most of the Indian people that are over there are dark because it's just hot as hell over in India and there's a lot of sun.
Yeah.
But we should not be using the word black, because then that becomes too, like,
Yeah.
there's too many other people that also share our skin tone.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be identifying ourselves based on the skin tone itself, because then people think, oh, this person's a light skin, they're not black because their skin is a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there are some different phenotypes that are typically associated with us, but I feel like the color, using the color itself is wrong.
Yeah.
Not necessarily how it's categorized, in my opinion, but the use of the word makes everything so confusing to people.
Yeah, it should be that you're identified by, like, whatever your primary, like, if you're gonna say, like, what your race classification is, yeah, your primary, like, place of origin.
Yeah.
But then we break down and talk cultures, because those conversations do matter. Like, people act like it doesn't matter, but in America it matters, because things like, we still are old things in this country, and we're still viewed a certain way. Like, even how they try to compare, like, oh, these immigrants are doing better than Black Americans statistically with school, money. Like, we're making these comparisons, like our people in this country aren't behind. You know what I mean? Like, we had stuff that happened to our ancestors in this country. Yeah, I don't think people should be making too much excuses. I feel like you can still build yourself. Look how we ended up being, and our families have the same history. But I do feel like there is something to be said about the system that took place of mass incarceration, drugs, redlining, Jim Crow, slavery, all the different things that led to our people being so behind. And then you have somebody who came from another country. Oh, Nigerians are doing better than Black Americans. Well, of course, you guys came here on a plane willingly. I would hope so. You guys weren't as behind as we were here. Here. Like, if you had that privilege to be able to fly here on a plane, then yeah, like, I would hope so that you're ahead. But then it becomes this conversation, and it becomes this, like, well, we get looked upon a certain way, and we just keep getting further and further behind because we don't have no true representation of us in the politics. And that's what I have an issue with, because who's really representing me and our people and what we need? Nobody. Like, reparations is probably on the least of her priority list. I don't think she gives a fuck about reparations for Black Americans. I really don't. But I'm going to sit here and be like, yeah, that's a Black woman. Yeah, she eats fried chicken and she makes collard greens in the bathtub. Yep, that's one of us. Like, and she talking about collard greens in the bathtub, like that's what appease me or something. Girl, you're not even from my culture. Like, so you're appropriating.
So you're not voting for her?
I'm not saying who I'm voting for. Like, I'm talking about I'm talking about the pandering.
I'm not voting for her.
I just have issue with pandering. Like, I still want to sit down and see, okay, who's the best policymaker and who has, the best decision for me. I don't like the pandering. And I feel Black people fall for it over and over again, and we fall for it for even our own skin folk. Because like just because we the same skin folk don't mean we're the same. And I feel like we fall for it every single time. And I'm an AK, so I even have more like people think that's more of a reason. Oh, like you should support her. Like that's your sister. Like yeah, okay, we're in the same sorority, but she still doesn't share my history. She still doesn't share my culture. Like I still could differentiate that. And I just feel like I'm still gonna sit down and decide who's the best candidate for me based off of what they're going for and what is relevant to me. But I think what black people fall for over and over and over and again is like we're so I don't know what it is with us, but we're so like easily impressionable. Like, oh yeah, she got collard greens. Look, she's buying record players from the store, and she's two stepping. She's at the cookout. Yes, yes, that's why you guys want to vote for her because she's eating fried chicken and fucking collard greens. Like that, I just hate how we're impressed. Like it's so sad. Like I feel like we're just a damaged people, and we just fall for it over and over and over again. Like that shouldn't be your deciding factor in voting for somebody. That really shouldn't be. You know what I mean? So, then I was long winded, but yeah, that's my biggest issue. Like her history and her culture. Like for me, I differentiate. I don't think us sharing a skin tone means anything. For me, it's all about what's the lineage, what's the background story, what's the story of your people, what does your people go through. That was matters more to me than sharing a skin tone. Like me and her don't even got the same hair texture. Like it's deeper than just sharing some type of common ancestor in Africa. Because she's half, and she has a Jamaican. Like Jamaican people got nothing to do with me as a Black American, right? Like what does that got to do with me? But we're just so easily impressed by everybody that shares African ancestry. We're all the same. It's just crazy. And then you get on the internet, and then we're talking about the differences, and people trying to say like, oh, well, the police don't see the differences. Like, why is that always like the thing? Like, two things can be true. Yeah, okay, sure, the police might not see the differences, but the history is still the history. Like, my people still deserve reparations for what they went through in this country. Like, there should be an identifying difference. Realistically, there should be. Like, why are we not making a difference? Because if we don't, then our people are never gonna get nothing. If we never make that difference, then our group can never fight for that and never get it. And our allies and other Black melanated people who could be allies to us won't necessarily be allies if they don't feel like they're gonna get reparations. So why would they push for us to get it when they think they were all the same? Like it's just crazy. And I hate that argument. And you know what's funny too? Some girl said that she's like, "Oh, see, the police don't see differences." But then you go to her page and there's a Ghana flag in her bio. So if the police don't see the differences, then why are you separating yourself with a flag? Like they're so hypocritical. It's just crazy. I don't know, man. I'm very like these days, lately, these days, I've just been very like, what's the word? I never know the word for these things.
Radicalized.
Yeah, radicalized. Like I love my Black people everywhere, but I just feel like it's time after time such a disrespect whenever our group.
See, even that is wrong, right? Like, nah, like I don't.
We're just so disrespected. How are we the most imitated group and still disrespected?
Yeah, but
Like it's giving hater to me. Like you're just mad that you're not gang. Like that's what I've always said this. That's what it has to be. What's the issue for real? You know. But yeah, like I feel like our people like. I mean, that shouldn't be the thing. I think that's what our issue is actually. Thinking all skin folk is kinfolk. I actually think that's our demise. Right. That's what you're about to say, basically. Because I'm all like, oh, like I love my Black people at word, but I feel like I shouldn't feel that. I should love whoever loves me.
yeah,
That's it. I just could be share the same skin tone. That don't mean shit because they shouldn't. They're making jokes about Sonia Massey being shot. Like what? There's some Africans literally making jokes about that, but just because there was a conversation on Twitter about how like you could identify Black people across the diaspora. Like you could tell like if someone's from the continent of Africa directly and versus someone who's who's been in America. Which you can tell the difference. You don't think that you can tell the difference between a group of people that were raped by natives and Europeans. Well, the raping might not happen from natives. That might have been consensual. But there was non-consensual and consensual stuff happening in America with African slaves, natives, and Europeans. So there's definitely an admixture here where our ethnic group have features that might be a little differentiation from people in Africa. The same way you could tell East African apart from West African. Same way you could tell a Japanese person apart from a Korean or a Filipino. You could tell Black American apart from some places in Africa. And they act like that was such a profound fact that people were saying on Twitter these past few days, to the point now that they're making fun of Sonia Massey and like George Floyd, saying, "Oh, you think the police could tell?" And they're posting traumatic pictures of events that just happened. Like it's supposed to be some type of like it's just crazy. All skin folk are not kinfolk. Is what I got to say. And I think what Black Americans do, we're so open and loving to everybody that we just
I'm not gonna lie.
it's just so
I
crazy.
see why OJ said that he's not black and he's OJ.
I see it too, actually. I actually see it too now that I'm getting older. I get it.
But you know the thing is,
Don't associate me with those people.
yeah, I think it's just like I can't. There's no politically correct. I mean, all the terms I was about to use are not politically correct, so I can't really say how I actually feel. But I think that all of this shit is so stupid that yeah, I'll represent my blackness and my specific history, my specific experiences, and that's my representation. And anybody else that's outside of me, I'm not a part of that group.
Yeah.
I'm not a part of the overall black group. All I'm gonna ever speak to really is my specific experiences, and that's all I can do because people are so lost and so misinformed and don't want to be informed, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to learn. People think that everything they say is the truth and it's a fact. And I think that people are so lost. And we've had a lot of great black leaders that tried to lead people that were lost. I'm not one of them. So I kind of step away from these conversations because it's like
Yeah, you gotta realize who's in these conversations.
it's right. It's who's having these conversations because there's a whole world of people that aren't on social media, like on Twitter, because all these things are coming from Twitter and TikTok. I don't have a Twitter or a TikTok, for example. So there's other voices and opinions that exist outside of just social media, and I feel like people that use social media for very specific things will tell you a lot about that person, and I think because of that, there's no point in participating in these conversations because me personally, it's the same way I feel about when men see a woman being sexual on the internet and then their immediate reaction is to go into the comments and like comment about how they have OnlyFans and like just start shitting on a woman. To me, how you utilize the social media is who you are as a person, and I think that if people's desire is to go on social media and I mean, these conversations are important. I'm not going to say they're not important, but the way that people react to these conversations and the opinions that they end up giving, I feel like it says so much about the people that I would be doing myself a disservice for the way that my parents raised me and the way that I've educated myself to even hold conversations with some of these people because it doesn't make sense at all. Because you realize who you're dealing with, right? Like, I'm not. You hear people's opinions on like Israel versus Palestine and like just common sense things that just don't make any sense to me, and I'm like, I have to retract myself from these conversations because number
A lot
one,
of people are not educated.
what's the point? And number two is like trying to explain to somebody themselves that isn't educated. It's a waste of my time, right? Like there's way better things that I could be doing in my life, and I think these conversations are important, but the people that are having these conversations are not important,
Yeah.
right? Like you're on like we've done videos like this before.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, these takes are ignorant. Tell me what's ignorant then,
Yeah,
right?
what's ignorant? Like people hear facts and they get upset. That's what it is. Like I truly think that's what it is. I think Black Americans have made being black such a cool concept, and who wouldn't want to have a stake on that. But then it's like when we make that distinction, now we're ignorant. Now we're being divisive. Oh, all police see you as the same. If that were all the case, then why are you flying your flag so proudly? Why do you have it in your bio? Why do you take every minute to talk about how you're different? But then when we say we're different, it's an issue because you're mad because you realize that you're not a part of a group that you thought that you were just because you live here and were born here. That's what it comes down to. Like I've had people who I know for a fact are like children of immigrants talking about, oh, we getting reparations because it sounds trendy, it sounds cool, and they realize, oh wait, hold up, like when you actually think and realize, oh wait, I'm not getting reparations because you don't even realize that you're not getting because you feel like you're so part of this blackness in America when you're not really Black American. So I just think that's what it boils down to is just jealousy and they're mad because like how is it ignorant? How is it divisive? Just to make sure that our group is not being erased and our history is not being erased. That's not divisive. That's not any different than what they're doing by flying their flag so proudly, which there's no issue with doing that. But then don't have an issue when I'm doing it either. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's literally insanity. Like it's like I will be so. I honestly, I said this time at the time. I would be mad if I wasn't us too. Like I don't care
But
about our evil history. Cause they love to say, "Oh, you're orphans and you guys were stolen and brought here." I don't care what the history is. It's still a great
strong,
history. Then how
strong.
did we still end up being the most coolest, most imitated people? Like clearly, there's something about us that's just cool.
But
So I
this is
don't give a
what,
fuck about the bad history, the negative history. Like you should, and you making fun of that is insane.
and I agree with having these conversations. I guess again, it's the people that are having these
Yes, the
conversations that's the
people.
problem. But that's why I don't like your social media usage. I don't know what you do on social media, but I mean, you more or less tell me. But that's why, because I've always said, um, when you're arguing from a distance, somebody can't tell who's the fool,
Yeah.
and talking to somebody gives them some level of validation that like their opinion means something, or that like they actually said something. And the likes and the retweets and people are trying to get backed up. I think Twitter is like the scum of the earth. It ended up becoming like Yahoo. I'm pretty sure Yahoo removed the comment
Yeah. Oh my
option.
God. Yahoo used to be a cesspool.
I think they got rid of the comments finally.
Yahoo used to be a mess. Like I used to do that all the time, like in college and high school, just scrolling through like topics, and I would get so mad reading the comments. I was like, "What's wrong with these people?"
Yeah.
That was like my first
But
introduction to craziness.
but that's where it's like I do care about people, right? Like I'm an empath. I don't want anybody to be hurting, or I don't want people to be oppressed in the world. But it's a lot, right? Like I was looking at the opening of the Paris Olympics and I was like, they did a great job. Like the torch and the way that they displayed everything, like it was great. Like one thing about French people is they're very artistic, and
Yeah.
that's what they do. Like that's their shit, right? Like the French architecture in America, love it. Like this is a thing. I love that aspect of French culture. I know there's parts of it that aren't the best, but there's parts of it everywhere in the world that aren't the best. But then you go to the comments and then you see everybody completely contrarian to my feelings about um, the game, the display and everything.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Everybody can have their own opinion, of course, but it was the type of opinions that people were giving. I'm like, damn, like, because then these are the people that are walking around in the world and that exist. And then that to me, I don't want to use the word disheartening because it's not like I'm disappointed or whatever, because it's like, I guess, expected in a way. But it just highlights these are the people that are walking around every day, and I'm not going to waste my time trying to fix all these
That's why I
people.
gotta stop being like that. Like
Which is why I deleted Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Like I used to be on Twitter all the
be pissing me
time.
off.
I'd be on Twitter all the time, like tweeting and whatever. And TikTok wasn't as bad, but Twitter, yeah, I used to always be on Twitter, but I had to delete it because it's like I'm not validating the way other people feel, and I'm not gonna sit here and listen to these idiots talk all day. Like it's like really bad, like misinformation, like like it's just horrible. Like even Instagram is a lot like that in the comments too. I just don't get it. I don't know where we went, and maybe
It's sad.
maybe we've always been this way, and now it's just easily displayed on social media. I think the youth is a little bit different because they are mostly cracking jokes.
Yeah.
Even if the jokes are insensitive, at least they're cracking jokes. But you can see the older people, they really mean the shit that they say, and it's like that's where there's no point in having these conversations sometimes, because it's like
You can even remember these videos. Like, there's gonna be people that are gonna have an issue in the comments. Like, there's been so many times where we made really good points on here, and there definitely has always been trolls in our comments, like being stupid. Like when we talked about the Kai thing, like that was a valid reason. That was a valid point that we made on that episode, and like and we had a whole bunch of trolls in the comments. Like, this is crazy.
yeah.
There's no point in getting exhausted. Like that's the reason. The only reason I actually really care is just because it could impact us in ways politically. But other than that, I don't care. Like the two things that I care about is just the erasure of our group and our identity, and just the fact that we might not ever get reparations if nobody's really representing and fighting for us to get what we're owed. But
That's our own
it's the
fault.
only two. Yeah, it is our own fault.
But
We
that's
could have been
but
protested mass
that's also
and got stuff that we needed.
there also are a ton of actual black politicians, but they are not in the upper levels of the government.
Yeah, no, they're not.
But yeah, so I do this podcast and I'll give my points and opinions on things, but it's not ever to sway somebody's opinion. It's not really even to teach anybody anything or learn anything from anybody, to be completely honest, because it's just like people are too biased and they're too unwilling to be wrong,
Yeah.
and whatever they believe is the law, and they think
Isn't
everything
that
they
so
think is right.
embarrassing as a person to not be able to just be like, oh yeah, you know what, you're right. Like the ego of people is so strong that it's almost embarrassing. Like
Yeah.
the realest thing you could be is to be real. Like I always, if I'm wrong, I'm always like, you know what, yeah, you're right. Like the fact when people can't do that, that's actually really insecure and embarrassing of you as
But
a
I think that's
person.
most people.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the people that hide behind the no profile
Yeah.
pictures.
That's honestly 90% of my interactions I've had with people on social media who have like something negative to say about me have been fake profiles. Like 90%.
Yeah. I think this, again, and I said it before, but that's literally the most pussy thing I think you could possibly do on social media. Because at least with me, like, not only do I have my profile picture, I have my first and last name, and I'm also putting my face to a video on a platform that we manage together. So completely the opposite of pussy. Like, whatever my opinion is, you're going to get it pretty much unfiltered. I won't necessarily use terms that aren't politically correct, but you'll get my unfiltered opinion on the podcast.
Yeah.
And when you see my face. So that's the other part, right? A lot of times where I see people that are commenting or posting on certain things, fake and I don't like to use the word fake because it's not necessarily fake, but it's like a well, I see the way you mean, like a finsta, whatever.
Yeah,
That's
like
that
you have a
literally
fake
means fake
profile
insta.
picture. Like we can't. There's nothing identifying to who you actually
Right,
are.
or your page is private, but you're still leaving comments on public posts, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To me, that's again, like, I'm not bringing myself down to a level where I'm validating this person's opinion or giving them. Sometimes I give people the time of day, but then they never reply. They don't want to have fun after I reply.
Because they don't think you're going to respond.
Yeah,
I think.
and people get off. They probably jerk off while leaving comments because that's kind of like I see, like, because I could tell that's like why people troll.
Yeah.
They probably get aroused from doing so.
It's so embarrassing though. Honestly.
But yeah, it's super pussy. I think I definitely respect it more if you put your face,
if
like,
you put your face on it, like, and you show me who you look like especially if you're talking about people's looks, like people love to do that. Oh, like this person's ugly, and then you go to their page, it's private, no pictures, nothing. I'm like, can we see how you look? You want to call people ugly and be bold enough to call people ugly? Let's see what you look like. Like,
yeah, very soft. Always see comments like that on Instagram, and then but you know, one thing that people won't allow me to do, or won't do to me, is like, I'm not gonna stoop down to certain people's levels.
yeah.
Sometimes I might, but then I'm like, let me not, because like one I saw the other day, and I swear I don't let comments get to me, like I really don't. But sometimes I just go through just to see what people are talking about. There was one, and this guy was saying something, and I went to his page because I was like, I can bet money that I know exactly how this individual looks if I were to click on their page and see what their pictures look like. And obviously it looked exactly like how I thought. I think he might have been from Tennessee.
Interesting.
And then I saw pictures with his two kids. And I was like, this is the thing where people lose their like gauge on life because they're behind the comments, they're on a social media platform, they don't really think that that's anything tangible because all you have to do is turn off your phone and it's gone. Not necessarily true. If you put your opinion out there, it's not like that just disappears forever, right?
Yeah.
But now we got pictures of your kids. People on the internet don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna do anything with that information.
But some people will.
And
that reminds me of this person that made fun of the Sony Massey thing, and people were like, "This your house?" And they posted a picture of his house, and like they got mad numbers. Like the tweet did mad numbers. Like he posted a meme like making fun of the Sony Massey thing, like it was like some caricature, and like they were like, "This your house?" And it was literally his house.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't control how crazy people are on here, so you don't say nothing crazy if you don't expect.
Right, people should tone it down, right?
Yeah.
There's real world implications behind posting things on social media.
Yeah.
So,
like, do what you want, but you can't dictate the consequences of your own actions. Like,
right, and just be careful, right? Like, it's like, damn, like if somebody was really crazy, I've seen it happen. People used to do that shit for fun when Xbox used to be toxic. If anybody remembers those days,
doxing.
Oh my god, people would log into your Wi-Fi through the fucking Xbox and shut your whole shit down.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we have freedom of speech and freedom of whatever in this country, but also so did other people. So they got freedom of whatever they want to do too.
Dave Chappelle said a joke about that. He was like, the First Amendment is the First Amendment for a reason.
Yeah.
And the Second Amendment is just in case the First Amendment don't work out. So say what you want, but that Second Amendment is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
But
crazy
yeah.
in the streets.
Yeah.
I feel that leads to like another conversation just about like parasocial relationships. I feel like that's something that needs to be talked about. Like that, I actually have a genuine concern about. And I feel like what made me have like a really genuine concern as of late is this past season of Love Island USA has been like probably they said the most popular season of the show ever. I'm not sure what the UK numbers, but as far as the US, like superseded. I think they said it was like 900 something million people viewers they've had this year, so almost a billion. That's a lot of people, right? Two people from the show all have like 2 million, 1 million followers. Like they had the highest amount of followers ever. So this season has just been like, the popularity has been insane. And I think what that also produces is the weirdos who have parasocial relationships with these cast members on these shows. And there are people on the show, one notably Leah, who's been really, really popular, who they have like, her fan base is literally like psychologically insane, in my opinion. Like there's a lot of them who are like, so parasocial who like defend her and like defend her to the point where they're sending people death threats, like who were on the show because they love this person so much that they're literally sending other people who she like might have had like a little issue with on the show death threats, like behind their real profile picture. Some of these people are doing this behind their real profile. That's how you know they're literally clinically probably insane. And it got to the point where even they're on her own comments saying stuff and she's even like, stop, like you're literally like, she's literally calling them out. Like, how are you that sick that even the person that you love so much doesn't even like what you're doing, but you're so sick that you still think like you're like the same thing with the Simone Biles thing, how they're making fun of her husband and Simone Biles herself is saying stop and you're still doing it in a way to protect her. I mean, she doesn't even like what you're doing. Like that's literally I think it's a sickness. I'm actually really concerned for these people. I think people who are studying psychology right now are probably putting together a study as we speak about parasocial relationships. It's literally psychologically and like insane to me.
The death threats are amazing.
The death threats are literally psychotic.
I would put up Kamala Harris numbers, putting people in jail for sending death threats.
You're shady.
Yeah, put it behind the real profile picture.
Yeah, this one girl just did it.
We going right to the local PD.
This one girl just did it and it was literally like psychotic.
I don't even know what the jail sentence is for.
Like, look, this girl
for a death threat.
No one, like a lot of people didn't like her on the show because she was like kind of caused a lot of drama. So she posted this. She said she can't wait to drop my mixtape and name a song op named Fabi because this girl was like never sing again, die. Mm-hmm. Like that's psycho. And this is her real page. That's her real picture. Everything. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if they're American. If they're both in the U.S.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Even if you don't specifically say you're going to kill somebody, mm-hmm. like if you entice somebody even to kill themselves, then you could be held liable for murder in certain places in America.
That's why like these people are better than me. I would be reporting this stuff. I would be trying to figure out who they are. I would definitely do lawsuits.
Kamala Harris, yeah.
And what I don't understand, like I know a lot of Love Island fans who came up this season are new fans, but if anybody were to do a quick Google search, there's actually 3 different people. There was a host and 2 members from the UK season that all 3 of them have killed themselves because of the hate from the show. Like you know that to be a fact potentially, and you're still going to contribute to, like, it's just crazy. Like you could have your opinions on the people. 3 people from the franchise. So you would think this franchise would be doing something different, knowing that they have a history of 3 people killing themselves from the show, right? But not everybody might know that fact. Fine, but even still, you still think that's okay. Like you would like to have that, like for people to scrutinize your 48 hours on a TV show, like because it's edited. Not even 40 hours. She was on like 4 or 5 episodes. That's 5 hours that was edited to out of all these days, all these long days. It got condensed into a 5-hour episode. And you're going to judge a person and think you know them and send them death. That's all because of a show that has orchestration. Like, these people are so gullible. They think this stuff is 100% real. You don't think there's no manipulation in anything. You don't think that people on the show are also doing the most a little bit because they want to get fame. Like, at the end of the day, you think these people are really here for love? Are people dumb? Don't they realize, like, Peacock, Love Island, these people are producers of a show that, like, at the end of the day, everybody's doing what they're doing for money? You think anybody's doing shit for free? You think that Peacock and the Love Island people are like, let's just make a show for love? No, these people are trying to feed their families and they need to make money from the show. Like, are you stupid? Like, it's just like.
But this is why also, and I know it's not necessarily anybody that's normal's fault for the way that other people behave. Yeah. But this is why when there's certain things even attached to certain things, I don't like it, right? This is why I've always gotten on you about reality TV. Number one, Keeping Up with the Kardashians is the number 1 reality show ever.
Fake.
No, we know that, but hold on, let me get to it. I don't even want to be watching or consuming anything with any of that level of issues behind the scenes that exist in real life,
Yeah.
right? Like that Kardashian curse shit that they talk about, like, yeah, that's like a real thing. It's not like by happenstance that everybody that has run into them has had some sort of detriment happen in their life, right?
Yeah.
Like it's Reggie Bush, Chris Humphries, Kanye, Lamar
Travis,
Odom.
even with this, even though I mean that was not the Kardashians' fault what happened to the show, right? But it just seems like
and
it's just
everybody
the trend.
and everybody has free will, but there's a lot of things associated with that. And yeah, what she did to Kanye was crazy.
Yeah, like that.
But aside from that, even with this show, right? Like there's nothing positive or constructive about this show at all.
At all.
And you can separate entertainment from real life, but to me, the things that entertain you speak to how you are in real life, in my opinion.
But see, with me, like I find it like I find like what I like about the show is I give my applause like to the producers because they do put on a good show. But I'm able to separate the two. I'm able to realize that these people are sitting probably behind the scenes snickering like, oh, we got them. Like I'm as talented enough to realize that this is not really like, yeah, maybe there are real feelings that end up developing because you are putting a whole bunch of single, conventionally attracted people in the same place for months on end, right? Or weeks on end without communication. Like I think real relationships actually come from these shows, right? But I don't think anybody's actually going into that show with like, yeah, I'm about to find love. I think they really know, like, okay, like they see the popularity of the show and they're trying. Who wouldn't want to be on TV and get a little clout and not have to work a regular job, you know? I think that's what they all go into, and yeah, then they end up actually like falling in love with people or like really end up like developing relationships. But I feel like a lot of people who watch these shows and are fans of these shows can't differentiate the two. They believe everything they see on TV, and they're just very gullible people, and it's scary in my opinion. Like it's scary for people to be that slow. Like you think these producers really just like were thinking about the audience and like let's just make a show for people to see that you could find love on a TV show. Like no, they're making money at the end of it. You think anybody would do this stuff if it was free? Like come on. I think that's a question everybody gotta ask themselves. Would this exist if there was no money behind it? Who would do it if this like would this show exist if there was if money couldn't be made off of it? No, it wouldn't exist. So I think when you have that fact that this is all at the end of the day, this is a production with its producers, there's a whole team. Like when you hear the people on the show talk about how like they'll make you retake shots, like they've said one of the challenges they made them film it like multiple times, but then people are still gonna sit there and be like, oh my god, you see how she was crying? And then the girl was like, I was crying because they made me film this shit 4 or 5 times. That's why I was crying. I was annoyed. Like this one girl from the season, the girl Daya, they said that she was using Cordell because this is his brother. They said, look, she was already crying because she felt guilty. She was already crying because the tweet was read 6 times already, and she was annoyed because that wasn't true. But you said people are picking apart her actions on the show when it was filmed 6 times because it's not reality. Like you think it's reality, it's not. There's definitely orchestration that goes on there. They're literally on a show with a huge network backing. And if you can't use your brain to understand that, then you're the target audience. You're the target audience. Like these people make money off of they're banking on the stupidity of the average person and the gullibility of single women. A lot of people who watch these shows are single women who want love of all ages. I've seen 40, 50-year-olds going to bat in the comments mad about stuff that's happening on the show, and they're 50 and alone and single. Like that's maybe that's why.
I think that anybody that watches reality TV, honestly.
Me too. I watch it.
Yeah.
But I don't watch as much as I used to.
I don't even know the words to put behind it that are politically correct. This is my like trying to be politically correct.
But don't you think there's differentiation between watching it and thinking it's reality and watching it and just enjoying the show that these people are putting together? I view reality TV, quote unquote, as just any other like how we just watch like Snowfall, like and we know that's a fiction. I view reality TV as fiction. I view it as these people are putting together a great show, masking it as reality, but it's still a good show. Like I'm not viewing it as reality.
Right, but
because we know personally who was on Love Island, and we, by the way, like somebody our wedding event stylist who we booked is literally mutual friends with the person that we knew from Love Island, and she like remember we was at the tour, right? We was just at the tour like a month ago. Me and her was literally laughing because we know the guy personally from the show, and she was like, yeah, that shit was fake. Like the one person he was dating on the show, his ex-girlfriend from home was literally his friend, like, and we were all laughing about it. Like so knowing somebody personally who was on the show. And like now having an event stylist who has also stories and we were able to put the pieces together, we know it's not real. But a lot of people don't know it's not real. Like they don't. And that's scary. But that's why you don't think I'm different then? Just because I know it's fake?
No, sometimes I got to walk myself back because I know I'm a unique case. I just think that I think when I consume entertainment content, it doesn't like I don't then take that entertainment and then apply it to real life,
Yeah.
and I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Like I was watching Snowfall that whole time and never posted anything about Snowfall. I'm not
Yeah.
in Twitter. I'm not in Reddit threads. I think consuming these things is one thing, or like if I watch a good movie, I'm not gonna and I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but there could be things wrong with it depending on the type of person you are. But if I watch a good movie, I'm not gonna go then post about how good the movie was, or like I like kind of keep things in the spaces in which they are.
I get
And I
that.
think that people that don't do that more likely than not are these psycho people.
But I think some people who do are just looking for community. It's like you know, like when you like people are bond over a similarity. So if you bond over the fact that you guys like the same show, the same movie, I don't think nothing's wrong with that. I think you're just bonding with other people who are also enjoying the same thing, so you guys could talk about it. Like I think that's just human nature is community. Like that's not even like a man-made construct. That's just we're communal beings. So I think bonding over shared experiences and shared love for things is different than people who actually are sending death threats and people who think this is real and they're so emotionally tied and oh I cried and oh I felt triggered. Like yeah, and that's a different conversation. You can might be triggered by something that's on reality TV too, but like I'm just being like the people who are so like deeply embedded in it. That's a different conversation. I don't think there's nothing wrong with having community over a shared love for a show or a movie or a song. You know what I mean? I don't think nothing's wrong with that. I think it just gets weird when you're like parasocial about it. And you're like, oh, this person's so ugly and disgusting and I hate them. I'm like, you hate somebody you never met over a show that has some type of planned villain arc in it. Okay. Now you might got to go to a psychologist and get checked out. You know what I mean? That's those people who scare me. I don't think there's nothing wrong with just like talking about it online or whatever. Just like, oh, like this show, like this is a great cast. Like the production did their, you know, they did their big one. Like, you know, they give them their ones with this season because they definitely had a great production and a great cast. That's different than being like, oh, I hate this girl. She ruined everything, and she did it so dirty on the show, and I hate her. She thinks she's all that, and she's posting videos about it. And I'm gonna go send her death threats and tell her to die. Like those are the people that scare me. You know what I mean? There's definitely two different categories. You know?
Thank you for repeating what I already said.
No, but you're saying that the being in Reddit threads and all that stuff is weird. But I don't think that's weird. I think it's weird when you're like thinking this stuff is real life.
Is that the word I used?
What's the word you use?
I don't use any word to describe it. I said more likely than not when there's people that are participating in Reddit threads,
oh, okay, more
social
likely
media,
than, okay, I
talking
didn't hear
about
more
these
likely
things,
than not part. Okay, I agree.
then there's a higher likelihood that they will end up doing those kinds of things. Is what I
Okay,
said.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
And they do. It's not even a Love Island show. They do this with anybody. They do this with celebrities.
Right, and that's why we're gonna expand it. Right, Twitch streamers.
Beyonce, yeah, Twitch streamers.
Anybody that is on TV, anybody that gets likes, views, comments, any of that kind of stuff.
Can we just like kind of decipher though? What do you think is a disconnect there? Realizing that these are also everyday people, just like me and you. Like, what do you think is a disconnect there?
Because you don't see them in real life.
Yeah.
So you can never attribute this as being an actual person because you don't see them in real life. That's why people don't believe it when they see a celebrity walk by them, because your only consumption of seeing this person has been through social media.
Yeah, or TV. That's true.
So you, in a way, they could not be real. That's also like one of these Black Mirror kind of things. Like
it's almost like reading a book.
Yeah, like you're definitely never going to end up seeing. It's like when people
more
see
likely
people,
than not. Yeah, like unless you live in major cities like New York, LA,
you're never gonna see these people.
Yeah.
So because of that, when people come across like that person, might as well have been fake. It might as well have just been AI to those people's perspectives, because it's like.
But that'd be the funny part though, because then maybe they jump into reality a little bit. But when the person themselves is like responding to their comment, like I said, this one person was going tooth and nail defending her, and she was like, "We're just friends. Like you're doing the most. Stop." Like, and then she was like, "Oh, sorry, queen." Like it's so embarrassing because you probably got to snap of reality for a second. Like she's calling you out, and now all of a sudden, "I'm sorry, queen. I'm sorry." Like, Are you not embarrassed? She literally probably thinks you're a freaking weirdo. Like she probably wouldn't even associate you with in real life, and you're going, and you have a profile picture of her picture on your page. You made a whole fan page for her. Like
this is why I think that it's because I was thinking about this in terms of sports too earlier today, randomly enough. Like of course the Jordan LeBron thing, and I was like, because there was one guy in there calling LeBron a bum because he was carrying a flag or something, and it got like a 1,500 likes in the comments or something like that. And I know people are trolling too,
Yeah, but come on.
but I was thinking
Say that to his
about
face.
sports in general, and part of me was like thinking that I wonder how many of like the men that enjoy sports are like homosexual,
Ooh, that's a really good statistic.
because I think that or like they have homoerotic tendencies. Because I'm an avid sports watcher, right? Like I keep looking over this way because I'm watching them do
Yeah,
cycling
the
right now,
Olympics.
and I love competition and I love people competing for anything. Realistically, like I love a good debate. I love athletics. I love anything where there's competition. Chess. I love watching everything. I like watching animals fight each other. um, but I think, to what extent does it become a little homoerotic when
Yeah.
you're constantly talking about another man
Yeah, and calling him names to defend another. Like you're
to
calling
defend
somebody a
another?
bum to defend another man. Like that's your man.
It's weird. Yeah, that's your man for real. That's your man crush Monday. But it's that
Same thing
parasocial
with
part.
music.
Yeah, right.
Kendrick Drake. We've seen it a lot, but it's Kendrick Drake stuff.
Yeah, like pop it out your mouth
Like
on both sides,
Drake don't
because
know you,
Drake don't know you and Kendrick don't know you.
and he
Like,
probably will look down on you if he saw you in person. He probably would think like, "Ew."
Not Like Us is tremendous, and I enjoy that song a lot, and I played it a lot. But what you won't see is me going and
Like fighting everybody
fighting
online.
people online
Yeah.
and Drake's a bum. Blah, 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 blah. He got no classics. Like, you're not gonna hear me do these things because it's just weird. Like,
It is weird.
I don't know these individuals, and of course we can be judgmental and enjoy the art because art is subjective and is meant to be commented on. But it's when people go too far, and now it's like it's become this big thing, right? Like he's not a bum because he was in the Olympics.
Yeah, like stupid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And to me, it's embarrassing because I know me as a grown ass man. I could never imagine myself being in the comments saying certain things because it just seems embarrassing to me.
Yeah.
Like, I think that a man's greatest test in life is the women or woman that he ends up with. And to me, I think the best gauge is that if a woman that you want to pursue read this comment, what would she think about you?
That's true.
And more often than not, the way that a woman would think about you leaving the specific comment, she wouldn't want you because you're just weird.
But you know what? That's why I think a lot of people, especially men who leave those comments, are single.
No, for sure.
For sure. Because they spend so much of the time online. Like, how do you even have the time to be so tapped in? Like, are you not dating? Are you not in a relationship? Do you not have other things that take away your time from being like so chronically online?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about being online. Like, one of my favorite comments is whenever there's like a woman that's attractive or even extremely attractive, and then somebody, and I know there's trolls, so we have to like think about that aspect too. But sometimes they're not, because you can tell by how detailed the comment is, where they say, and that, you know, people's appearances, it's all subjective too. Yeah. But there is the idea of being conventionally attractive.
Yeah.
That is a thing. It's not like it's not a thing.
You can't ignore that. Like, there's definitely
a thing.
People who everybody will agree as attractive, like, or more so than not agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always funny when somebody in the comments like says something negative about it. Like, because then I'm like, okay, show me a picture of every woman that you've ever been with, and then let's make the comparison. Because you might be like the fucking GOAT. If this woman to you is mid, you might be the fucking GOAT.
You might have been all 10.
Historic. You might be putting up top 10 numbers
Yeah.
all time. And of course, they would never do it. And their idea of what.
And it'd be funny too, because people be saying stuff about other women, but like, look at your mom. Like, no offense. Like, look at your mom.
Yeah, just show me, like.
Look at the women in your life.
Show me.
Your mom, your cousin, your aunt. Why they all look crazy?
Show me the people that you've been with. Like, and they're never gonna be able to produce anything like. I don't know, man. It's social media is very interesting.
Social media is really a cesspool.
I just don't get why people can't temper it. Like, I don't know. Like, I of course recognize when people have done amazing things.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I would necessarily say I look up to anybody except like my parents, but I can recognize when people do great things, and I feel like you can do that without feeling like you are, that you know somebody, right? Like, we don't know Kobe. We don't know LeBron. We don't know any of these top level people. We don't know Beyonce. You don't know her personally. You only know what they decide to show you, right? I've never seen Beyonce in person. She might not even be real.
She might not.
She might not be.
I saw her in person, so
Yeah.
I saw her in concert.
I didn't know Kanye was real till we went to concert and saw him.
It was weird seeing him, right? Like somebody that you like love listening to for so long, like and then seeing them there, like that's crazy.
But even then, it's like I don't feel like I know that gentleman at all. Like I don't know what goes on their daily lives. Like I really don't know, and I don't care to know.
Yeah, me too.
I don't care to know.
I love their music. I love who they are. I think they are misunderstood, but at the end of the day, I don't know him, and that's all.
Yeah, and that's.
I think all humans are misunderstood, so I just have empathy for every human. You know.
Yeah, if I don't until I sit down and have a conversation with you, I can't really even necessarily pass judgment on certain things. Like I don't know you, right? Because I don't like when people do that to me.
Yeah, same.
Because people pass judgment on
I've
me.
been telling that to my mom. Like my mom, be talking to me, and she like kind of like makes assumptions about people. I kind of get so defensive about it because I'm like I don't like I've been a victim to people making assumptions about me, and so I don't like seeing it in real time. Her making assumptions like, oh, she's ignoring me because she must just think she's better. And I'm like, no, like people be having like literally mentally like that's what I was trying to explain to her today. Like I ignore calls and text messages sometimes because I'm literally like on the verge of like a fucking like mental breakdown. Like I need that space to myself. It's not personal. So I don't like when people make assumptions because you don't know what that person's going through mentally. Where like they maybe they're ignoring you because they're going through something. Like I don't ever take it personally. Like, oh, they're ignoring me. Like they looked at me and that message is like F you. Like I don't think people really a lot of people operate like that.
Yeah.
I think people have so many stuff going on in their head in their own personal lives. I don't ever take stuff personal. So I hate I'm the same way. Like, I hate when people do that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna name this person by name because I don't want to throw the shit out there. But I was talking to for people I talk to, tell me everything about everything. I want to know who I'm dealing with and who I'm talking to because why not, right? Like,
Yeah.
Know what things we can talk about, what we can't talk about, your experiences. I want to learn from everybody. I was talking to one person, didn't even know that they were here illegally, and they might be watching this too because they've been asking when we're gonna do another episode. And why would I know that, right? Like, why would I even assume that?
Yeah.
Like, it's not anything that I would necessarily know, but that's the type of shit that is a part of somebody and like is a characteristic and is a part of their story. And I don't know what that's like, and I'll never know what that's like, and who knows what their story is and all the stress and things that they had to deal with. Where at any point somebody could pick you up and ship you back, and like that, you're walking on eggshells until you can secure your legal status in the country. That's crazy, but that's not. It's not like I knew that until the conversation was had. So somebody's upset about something or they look like they're having a bad day. Well, fuck, it might be that. They might be.
Yeah, like that's the thing. We don't know what people are going through. Like people have the craziest traumas in the world. You would never know.
Yeah.
Someone could be a survivor of the craziest thing, and you might think, oh, you might take things personal how they're acting. Oh, they must think they better than me. Meanwhile, they're literally having a freaking like PTSD episode from like some trauma that they might have dealt with as a kid, you know, or like maybe they got raped or something. You know what I mean? Like you never know what people are going through. Yeah. I always try to have empathy for people all the time. I lead with empathy and I lead with trust until someone proves otherwise. Right. That's literally how I lead in life.
And I think the other thing too, and the easiest way, like I feel like I think they literally call it the golden rule: treat people how you want to be treated. Yeah. That's the number one thing, right? Like, would you want someone else going on social media and saying this about you, or would you want somebody else to treat you this way? And I feel like ever since I really started, of course we've always been taught that, but I feel like ever since I started really truly living by that, I feel like number one, my life has never been better, and number two, you get a better understanding of the people that are around you, and you become better socially because you aren't being a dickhead.
Isn't that the irony though? That's why I feel like that's like something that should be said. Like a lot of the time, the people who are online so negative, they have their lives reflect their actions.
Right.
The type of person that you are you shocked that your life is like miserable? Like I feel like I'm the same way. Like I lead with that too, and like look how our life is. Like everything is so like put together.
Not only that, like I've talked to some of the highest net worth individuals in the world, in the country, but definitely in the country, but in the world too. If they were to be ranked, not necessarily billionaires, but definitely multi-millionaires, and you could see the way that I've spoken to them or they've spoken to me, that you could tell that their mentality and mindset on certain things is significantly more positive than it is negative. I know there's a lot of, like, Wall Street gets a lot of a bad rep, and it, granted, for a lot of things they really should be, but in general, those people are normally just cool. Like, you could sit down and have a conversation with them. Like, I was speaking to I'm not going to say the rank because I don't want people to necessarily put pieces together, but a chief executive, like in the C-suite, and just like the coolest person ever. Like we were talking about how they went to the London Olympics because they lived in London at the time, and just having these conversations. These people are just cool, positive people, very family oriented. Like they're very positive. Like you don't really even hear a lot of negative things when they're talking. Or like one multimillionaire out in California, he was a trader, and he sat on the phone with me for hours just talking about like life and things that I should do, because he's kind of like on the tail end of his career. Like he's kind of just doing it for fun, like making money for fun. But just how you should live life and how you can really truly make money. And then he's just doing that just off the strength. Like, there's no negativity in the conversation. I feel like the people that I speak with the most that are the most positive have the
Their
best lives.
Reflected. Same. Honestly, same. Literally.
And I was having a conversation with some other people about somebody that we all know in common that is like a horrible person and everybody hates them. And her misery reflects like her attitude towards other people. Like we know she's miserable, and the way that she treats other people is miserable. And of course she doesn't have a significant other, divorce. I'm not surprised, because
isn't that so crazy though? Like anybody, like the most miserable
it's always
people I
consistent.
think of who are so negative, always have negative stuff like that they talk about and happen. Their lives reflected. Like nothing is really like about positive about their life, and that's no coincidence.
Yeah.
At all.
That's why I just be chilling, and you know
that's why I gotta have that mindset. Like sometimes I'm like interacting with these people online. I'm like, these people are miserable. Like of course they're mad. Of course they're throwing hate at a girl who's on this reality TV show who's literally conventionally attractive enough to get on the show. Like you're a loser at home. She was on a show. People are like, oh, why is she still talking about the show? Why are you talking about the show? At least she was on it. She experienced it, and you're mad about her talking about her experience on a show that you're not on, and you talk about it more than she does. Like you guys are just mad because she looks good. She's relevant enough and cool enough to get you on the show, and you're not. You're a loser who was at home sitting in the freaking dark arguing with strangers. Like, and they know that. That's the funny part. They know that, and that's why they're mad. That's why they're talking shit, because they're mad. They're insecure. They could never sit on a reality TV show for 6 weeks straight in a bikini. You don't even like how you look. You built bad. You could never. But you gonna hate on the girl who looks good because you don't like how she acted towards another girl on the show that you don't know. Like these girls are literally mentally ill and deranged. Like I can't wait for the psychologists to come out with their, what do they call them? I be learning. Oh, your thing just fell off too. I learned about it in the your thing on the mic.
Oh.
I learned about it on the because I watch a lot of crime stuff, but it's specific like psychology like stuff that they come out with. What are they called?
Reports?
Yeah, like reports. It's called like I learned about it in, like when I watch all these shows. Like it's like the
studies.
Yeah, it's like the D something, right? D mayhem or something. I don't know. It's like I can't wait for the report for parasocial relationships to come out, because I could read these people to feel, because they're literally insane. Like it all comes down to how you feel about yourself. Like if you could do this to people online and send death threats, it all reflects on how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, how would other people feel about receiving a death threat? That's the thing that I'm confused about.
Yeah, how would you feel if people overanalyzed
people.
everything you do in the world? And you can't even post a real picture of yourself. You can't even take the heat of posting of having like your real picture out there. You think you could take the heat of being on a reality TV show and having everything over psychoanalyzed and having a whole bunch of deranged weirdos in your comments telling you to die? Freaking weirdos. Like they're literally mentally ill. Like I think there's like, and social media is causing, I think, a spike. Like it's actually really scary to me. Like really.
I think it's because people don't. I think there's definitely an age thing too. I think the younger the audience, the least they know about the implications. Like they haven't lived life yet. Mm-hmm. And I think that they haven't experienced the negatives that are associated with that mentality on things.
Yeah.
So they don't really even necessarily know yet. That's true. There are other people that of course do know, that are our age, that will be leaving comments because they're still single and
they're just miserable,
pushing
like,
30.
Yeah.
Which is fine too. Like everybody's life is different. Like,
but don't project that into the world.
Yeah. I think it is interesting. I think the point you brought up is very true. Because we've seen it. I don't know why women are so negative towards other women.
I actually saw a tweet the other day that said that women that hate men are actually more hateful towards women than men are to women.
Yeah,
women love to hide behind this girls thing. I'm telling you, as a woman myself, women hate each other more than they hate men.
They do.
The things I've dealt with from other women who done like hateful stuff, like evil, traumatic things, I feel like I've dealt with from other women than I've had from a man.
Yeah.
Like women are not good people. They don't like each other. They treat each other crazy. Like that's the thing. If you think about what it boils down to, they're sending this woman Andrea death threats because of a situation of her coming into the house and taking the other guy Rob away from Leah. So you're sending a woman death threats over the common factor of a man. So you hated like the situation that happened with a man rubbed you the wrong way so bad that you're saying that to another woman because of the action of the man. Because I did that man owed
On a
Leah
fake
loyalty.
on a
Yeah,
fake TV show.
quote unquote loyalty from a girl he knew for 3 days. Right? He owed her loyalty. You're sending another woman death threats because she came in as a bombshell, did exactly what she was supposed to do as a bombshell. You can't take a man that doesn't want to be taken from another woman. But now you're sending her death threats because you feel like she ruined a relationship between two other people when the man was the one that had the power of choosing her. He liked her better on a show. That's the whole point of the freaking show.
Run this by me because
They're psychotic.
I don't. I'm sure it happens. I can't really think off the top of my head if this happening on like for men. But why do women not see their place in the world?
Because I think a lot of women have a jaded, delusional outlook on who they are and what their place is.
If I could expound to, the reason why I'm saying this is because I think that, and I've seen this in comments, like there could be a woman doing just whatever, right? She could have a nice dress on, shiny, something, not even anything looking sexual or anything like that. Do a spin around 360, whatever. And then there's going to be a woman in there with like the most disdain that you've ever seen. Or like they'll say something negative about the way that they look. But I'm like, why does it seem that there's so many women that don't understand that that a woman looks better than them?
Because they're delusional. That's something else I hate too. Like whenever they see a woman that looks good, all of a sudden it has to be surgery. It has to be BBL.
The BBLs.
It has to be BBL. What?
I saw this.
What do you think BBLs were inspired from? Obviously, a real person had to have a look like this for something to get inspiration off of.
But people don't travel.
They don't.
But also, I saw something where there was someone in the Olympics, a woman in the Olympics. I forget what sport she did, but she wasn't. I'm not gonna say she wasn't fit. She's an Olympian, for God's sakes. Like,
yeah,
she's an Olympian, but she was of slightly bigger build, not obese by any stretch of imagination, but she's not skinny. Like, you know what I mean? But obviously fit. She's an Olympian, and I forget what sport she was doing, but it required bikinis for some reason. I don't know why, but it wasn't swimming because they have to wear a 2-piece because if they were, I mean 1-piece because if they wore a 2-piece it would fall off.
Yeah.
But I forget what sport. I don't know if it was volleyball, which I don't think it was. I don't know. Or they were just selling like bikini USA merch. I don't know. But they had the mannequin, and the mannequin was like shaped like.
Yeah, shaped.
I was about to say ideal, but obviously we can't say that. But it was like shaped nice.
Yeah.
Like shaped like you. And then it had the bikini on it, and then she was just joking. She was like, how does the mannequin have my body shape? Like she was pretending that they put her body shape as the mannequin shape, and she was just joking.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, then in the comments, somebody was like, the mannequin got a BBL, and I'm like, all right.
That's been the newest way for women to cope, is the BBL allegation. Like, yeah, like we could acknowledge that surgery has been on a high, but to assume that by every single woman is insane. Like that's just making you want to cope with the fact that, oh, if I had money, I could look like that too because I could get a BBL. Like, no, not every woman has a BBL. Like Ruby Rose does not have a BBL. Like as much as you want to say that to yourself to make you feel better about how she's shaped and how she was genetically blessed, that's on you. But it's just so insane. Like I think what made me realize that was when someone told me that I had a BBL. That's my news shit was fucked up out here on YouTube that one time when I was on my epitome journey. I'm like, so
but you do though.
Okay. I'm like, so now I have a BBL just because, like, if I were to eat a whole lot, like we had this conversation that day, I feel like my fat would go to my butt. Like my butt is predisposed for fat. So when I was on a Pentamin, a lot of my fat did go there, and my legs stayed kind of small. So that's what you see, like in my family, that's literally how the women in my family are built. If they wanted, like Amira's built like that, like people thought she had a BBL because like she's always been built like that her whole life. But that's just where a lot of our fat distributes. I'm just on the small side, so of course I'm just small all around. But if I like ate a whole lot, like my butt would probably be like a fucking giant. So like the fact that the girl thought I had a BBL just because she said the butt didn't match the legs, I'm like. That's when I knew girls were literally mentally ill. I'm like little old me. My butt is not even big. Little old me is being accused of having a BBL. Like, obviously, Amira's gotten questioned about that. Like people asking if her body's real. I'm like, that's insane to me because like, it's just genetics. Like it's just normal. But yeah, women. A lot of women are just very insecure about themselves, and that's been the best way for them to cope as of late. It's just that like to throw that accusation like a woman has to have fillers, BBL, lip fillers,
It's definitely it's
lipo.
definitely a lot more common. But we were having this conversation about why it seems like all the same men and women run through each other in the industry.
Yeah,
I think that we also, to that point, why it seems like it's so much more common than it actually is because people are looking at a select group of people that are
yeah.
getting them. Like you're looking
The
at,
Instagram models.
right,
Yeah,
with that such a small subset of the entire country.
yeah,
Obviously, most of the world does not have a BBL. Like,
yeah,
especially in other countries, that's like also like a very American type of thing,
yeah.
very American and European type of thing, because the rest of the world, more likely than not, they're kind of naturally built that
Yeah,
way.
literally, that's where
Like
the
South
inspiration.
America,
Yeah, there's one girl. She's from Brazil, and like she's a good influencer. People swear that she had a BBL. Like it's so obvious. I'm like, it's not. Like that's like. I'm like, what does the B in BBL represent? Brazilian butt lift. The girl's literally Brazilian. You're gonna accuse her of having BBL when literally they're the freaking where the style came from, like Brazil.
let's talk about it, right? Canada, I don't know what they do. They have like a lot of skinny people up there.
Yeah,
Mexico, I think they're just naturally built the way they are.
Mexicans. No offense. I hope this doesn't offend people, but they're not really built the best. Okay, that was
We're
rude.
gonna cut that out. Um, they
I'm sorry.
South America, they're pretty much all they're like they've
Like
been
Colombians, Brazilians.
they've been like the poster child for the best looking
Yeah,
bodies.
because they usually have like a more narrow waist, like the hips, the butt.
And I don't even want to necessarily even talk about the way that they're shaped, but like we don't see a lot of modifications coming out of South America. We don't see modifications coming out
As
of
far as we know,
Mexico,
yeah,
as far as we know. But more likely than not, no.
yeah,
And I know those doctors exist there, but the doctors exist there for Americans to come
yeah,
get the procedures done. Europe, for sure. A
yeah.
lot of lips.
Not a fillers,
Africa, absolutely not.
you know.
China and all of the Asian countries.
What they do in Asian
no.
countries a lot of what I found out is they do eyelid surgery.
Make
Because
their eyelids
they
bigger.
have the monolids and they want the lids. So that's one thing I know they do. It's like they add eyelids.
But yeah, most of the modifications come out of this part of the world, and it's not even a big majority of people. Like I could list you probably hundreds of people that I could think of off the top of my head, and none of them have.
I will say though there is a popularity though because I've seen more BBLs than I've ever seen in my life.
Oh no, it's getting up there, but now
and like literally on the internet, it'll be like the most random person with like 200 followers. Like, oh, I'm getting a BBL. Like,
yeah, we went to Starlets, we've seen it. It's all there.
you didn't have to put that out there.
We'll take that out too.
We don't need to take it out. I'm just saying.
It's like fucking BBL growing center over there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Like women, that's the funniest part. Women love to mask behind this whole like girls that support each other. Women support women. Like women hate each other.
women hate each other.
They're in
really,
competition.
really
They're
badly.
in competition. Like scientifically and genetically, like whatever, we're in competition for like the mate. Like the man is the mate. Like no matter, like women will never want to say that the man is the prize, but the things that women have done to each other for the sake of a man proves to me that a man is a prize in a sense. The way that, bro, I've seen some women do the craziest things to each other for over a man. You're gonna tell me that they're in no shape or form of prize? Like no. Like I think it all comes down to biology, and like in the animal kingdom, they fight over mates too. But let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's stop trying to act like we're oh we love each other and we're girls. Like no, I'm not a girl's girl. I'll admit that right now. I only support women that support me. I only support the women that I love and care for. I don't care about a random woman on the street. I really don't. Like I'm not gonna betray a woman. 'Cause I would never betray a woman for the sake of anybody else. But I only have like love for women that have love for me. So the people who I consider friends, people who are family members to me, that's it. But like, I hate women that swear, like the women that swear that they are girls and they love all women. Those are the ones you gotta watch out for. Those are the snakes and the weirdos who do weird stuff to each other. Like, no, we see every day this type of stuff women say to each other. Like in the common denominator, in more cases than not, is a man behind it. Like I said with this show, all the hate comments of this woman, the common denominator is this man, Rob, that they feel like she stole him. So women do not like each other, and they gotta stop acting like they do. And yeah, they gotta stop being delusional. Do you think like maybe it is delusion, right? The men that the women that do think they look better, and there has to be some delusion there.
Yeah, I wonder if they think that they. I wonder if they don't know that they don't look better. So let me word that.
I can't.
The delusional
I really
women.
don't know.
I can't tell if they think that they look better than the person that they're speaking about, or
I don't
if
know.
the delusion is just that they don't think that this person is as attractive. And I guarantee you, if they ask their
What do you think
significant
it
other,
is? You think it's delusion? I feel like we know somebody like who, if I told you a camera, like who I swear she thinks she's like the best thing that's like out here, and like based off how she acts online, and just like you're not that cute.
she's not.
And it's funny because everybody who I talk to, who like when they bring her up, they all say the same thing, and like the way that she be like portraying herself and acting like that, it's just like crazy to me, because it's like you don't like where's the like obviously everybody should love themselves, but the demeaning towards other people and like the things that you're saying like it's a fact. It's insane to me.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that I even immediately knew who you were talking about. But yeah, she built a little like interesting. It's
Very interesting.
I don't know. I can't tell what it is. I think yeah, of course you should always love yourself, but I think being realistic with yourself is also loving yourself.
Yeah.
I think that you shouldn't.
Like, don't be delusional.
Self affirmations should be real. Like they should be true. Like the things you're affirming about yourself should actually be real.
Yeah, like you obviously everybody should love themselves, but to act like when we know that there's only like a small percentage of people who literally fit this certain bill in a certain image, like that's just how life is. Like people win the genetic lottery and some people don't, and that's okay. Like you can still love yourself and that could still be a fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you shouldn't be out here like
These bitches
can never blah blah blah.
like,
And
they absolutely can, because they are. Like they a lot of them look better than you. So what do you mean they can never? They can.
and they are.
And they are
doing it right now. Actually, the post before this, they were doing it better than you. But
like no, that's not demean other women when you're not really up there.
yeah, I can't really tell what it is. I think because I've seen it from both ways. There's the ones that are truly like you can hear in the things that they say, like, oh, they really think that this woman isn't.
Yeah.
Like if they asked their significant other, he would pick her over you probably every time.
But he probably won't. But he's gonna lie. But if he was honest,
He was honest and truthful, yeah, then he would.
If she came up to him today and like said, "I want you," you would be dropped like a fly.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you'd be dropped like that.
I think the best way to think of it is like put two pictures, one of you, one of them, and pretend that you're a man, and then from there think who would they pick. Because I'm not gonna lie, like I do that with myself. Like I'm not out here to get chose by anybody, but I think one of the important things to understand where you fall in life is comparison. They say comparison is the thief of joy, but comparison is also necessary to see where you fall in life. So if I see myself here and all of my statistics and my attributes, and I compare it to the field or to a specific person, then yeah, I do that all the time. Like, and you should. Like, I know my specific percentage of how much money I make and what percentage that leaves me in the country and in the world.
But that's why I don't understand why people get offended by that because that
Like,
really happens in the animal kingdom. Like when they pick their best mate, it's always the strongest, the best mate in the whole kingdom. Is what all the women go after. Yeah. So like, why is that? That's not any different from humans. Like if you make more money, look better, have a better body, then of course you're going to be a more suitable mate because like that's just how science works.
Right, and it's also okay to not be right. Like I would never, by any stretch of the imagination, say that I'm more like I'm the most attractive person.
Yeah, me neither.
And that these men can never.
I see attractive women every day. I'm like, damn, these bitches is pretty. Like, what the hell? Like, but that doesn't mean like I feel like I'm like on the bottom of the right. I rank myself exactly where I feel like I rank. Like,
and that's also why I would never make my captions is like the way that I've seen women tend to make their captions, very like centered around trying to prove something against other women.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they can never.
Isn't that funny to think that's what if you boil down to what the caption is, it's all about like in competition.
And who are you talking to? Yeah. Like your followers, people that are following you and
the people who are liking your pictures and supporting you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like who are you talking to? That's why I can never do that. But that's where it's like that level of delusion. You don't know where you actually rank in the world, but they really believe it. That's like the part that's kind of like shocking.
And the funny part is they believe in it until the day they die. Because there's older women that still have that same mentality and they look a mess. Like you're built, like you literally built crazy. You look like you don't look that good. Like it's come on. And the only people who are validating you are people who are not even at your level or lower than you. Like that's the thing. They be getting validated by like bums. Like the men that validate them aren't even the really attractive men.
That's the one thing I've seen men
so confused.
Men do better than women too. Is that men are more likely to be honest with their male friends than women are.
Yeah.
I think part of that is because men aren't as sensitive. so they could get told something.
Yeah, they might be like, your hair is dusty. Go get that cut.
Yeah, your hair,
But if you
like,
say that to a woman, it's,
yeah,
she's a hater.
yeah, like somebody could come up to me and be like, bro, they pushed your hairline all the way back.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, damn, for real?
Like, what's good with the hairline?
Yeah. And
But
then
you say
just
that
keep
to
it
a
pushing.
woman is, oh, that bitch a hater. You see how she's trying to comfort me with my hair? Like, no, she's trying to help you out. Like, your hair
Yeah.
looks a mess. You need to get it done.
So then they live in this false fantasy of where they actually are. But to me,
I swear, you see it all the time. The women
You
that be
do.
like, oh, I'm a prize. I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, are you? What makes you that? Like, give me a list.
yeah, and it's not even to be so critical of them, even though we need to be critical of them. But I think it's an important life lesson, because if you don't ever look at yourself in those ways, in those critical ways, like, it hurts, right?
You can't improve yourself. Yeah.
It hurts. Like, when I've gone through my major transformations with my personality and things I've done wrong, and like my life, how my life ended up being harder than it necessarily needed to be at certain times, it's tough. It's hard to listen and talk critically about yourself in your mind. It's not fun. Like, those things hurt. I've cried over certain things to myself, by myself. I might just be sitting in the car crying about how I might have messed the situation up and being critical of myself and trying to do better and be better. And those things are necessary. It's always important to try to continue to progress and be better and be realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
Because if not, then you'll never get better and you'll always just be flat. That's
Yeah.
why I always, every day, it's just something better in my life.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't think people realize, like, being critical of yourself actually prevents you from being mediocre. Because if I'm over here, like, you know, I make 6 figures now, and if I'm like, yeah, I make 6 figures, I'm better than everybody. Like, no, I want more. I want more money. So I'm looking at other people who I work with. I'm like, damn, like, they're CPAs, so that I know they're making a lot more. Like, I got to get there. Like, it's always gonna be, I got to do more. I'm never gonna be like, obviously, I'm very proud and happy with my life. Like, I just said today, like, how I was like in our closet. I'm like, I've always wanted to walk in closet, and sometimes I gotta like remind myself, like, damn, you're living the things you wanted. Like, enjoy it. So I'm always like very like acknowledging of what I've done in life. But there's always more. And I know I'm not perfect. I know there's plenty of things I still got to fix with myself. I say that all the time. Like, I know when I'm doing a lot. I know when I'm being annoying. I'm very self-aware. Like, even there's been so many times where I say things online or even say things on the podcast. I'm like, damn, that was annoying. That was weird. Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? Relax. Be better at communicating this. Be better at talking, having clearer points. One thing I hate about myself, I slur a lot when I talk. But I don't think I'm perfect. Some people will have all these flaws about themselves and they don't even acknowledge them. I acknowledge them and I try to work on them. Even if I'm not working on them, I acknowledge them. A lot of people don't acknowledge that, and it's like scary. It's like delusional. And like you said, if you don't acknowledge it, there's no growth. Like, I don't think I would be as successful in life as I am right now if I never acknowledged that I wasn't doing what I should have been doing at certain points in my life. Like, I have a lot of regrets about stuff, my decision I made in life, and like, but some people literally won't. They won't. They think that everything they've done was perfect. They think how they were in a relationship is perfect. It's always the other person's fault. The relationship ended because it was them. But no, nothing I did. It was just 'cause it's just them.
I was about to say, another thing is when people sometimes they acknowledge that something is wrong or something could have been better, but it's always
the other person.
some other reason.
Yeah. Like, for me, I always say, like, a lot of my friendships that fell apart, I acknowledge that a common denominator in a lot of those friendships falling apart was my lack of communication, my lack of speaking up, my lack of calling, texting. I acknowledge that. But I feel like nobody else acknowledges where they go wrong. Like, they don't say, okay, I could have did this better. I could have did that better. Like, people don't acknowledge where they went wrong. It's always somebody else's fault. Like, no. It's not how life works. There's usually, unless somebody does something so specifically wrong to you, there's usually always a reason why there's a disconnect. It's on both sides. Always, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, it's just crazy. I don't think people like... It makes me kind of like... I mean, I'm happy I have you, but it just makes me
I'm happy I have you too.
I just think there's not a lot of people like us.
What else would I do without you?
There's a lot of people like us, and we haven't met them. Cause I just feel like how self-aware we are and how the things that we talk about are very rare. Like, I feel like people are like... I feel like we live amongst so many sheep. Like, sometimes I'd be around people and I just be feeling like I'm literally in like a freaking simulation. I'm like, boy, this is how people really feel and think. Like,
That's why I turned into a hermit.
Me too.
But I'm not really a hermit.
People will be wondering why I'm so isolated. Is because I feel like so many people are just abnormal and just like, I don't know.
Yeah, because there was like...
are living in the freaking simulation.
There was a particular individual that followed me that I met in real life, and I'm being vague on purpose just in case they ever see it. And I could tell even prior to the interaction that led to them following me that this doesn't seem like the type of like guy that
You
you
wouldn't want to be.
should necessarily want around,
Yeah.
like to be cool with, because you can kind of just tell. I could tell by mannerisms, and I can just like tell based on his interactions with other people. I'm like, yeah, he probably like a scumbag, and I still don't necessarily know that to be 100% a fact, but after seeing certain things after that happened, I was like, oh yeah, he definitely like. I'm glad I was correct. He definitely a scumbag.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would never want to be around you, but
Yeah.
yeah, but that's why it's like I just kind of
You end up saying to yourself, because
keep to
like
myself because
it's just people are like, I feel like people are just so, it's just like it's so many variables. There's like the people who are sheep, and then there's the people who, like you said, who just don't acknowledge it, like they're not real. They just never acknowledge like their flaws, like they think they're perfect. It's just like there's so many things with people that just throw me off that like I can't be around that.
yeah, and people are cool, like can be cool, and that's like perfectly fine. Like people are great, and you can interact with people, but I think I could never get super deep on an intellectual level.
Yeah, with a lot of people.
And maybe I could have previously, but the way social media has like poisoned
Yeah.
everyone, I think.
It's probably so bad now.
Yeah, I don't
That's
even.
how I even feel like a lot of my ex friends. Like I feel like we've had our conversation, and I get this heat in the moment, and people are upset. But I feel like in all my conversations, I've always said where I went wrong, and none of them have once acknowledged where they went wrong and then genuinely apologized. I have. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm like I did this bad. Yeah, I was this. Yeah, I was that. I always at least acknowledge how they feel. No one has once in all my conversations acknowledged what they've done to me. And I feel like that for me proved a lot about how these are the people who were in my life. I'm glad they're gone because they couldn't even acknowledge in a closure conversation their wrongdoings. This is a closure conversation. We don't even got to talk ever again after this. And you still couldn't be real? Like, I'm glad you're gone. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy. People think they're so perfect and so free of flaws and they think that everything they do is right and justified and never could acknowledge where they went wrong. And it's just like off-putting.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with. Yeah, I really do think it all comes back down to social media because I feel like prior to that, people didn't really necessarily think that way, but now it's kind of like you've, and it's on men for men and women, but we have like the poster children of what people want to be in life, and a lot of those people, usually the people that get to those positions are the person we should least have represent and be the like the goal of what people are looking toward, right? So because of that, and you have, I don't want to call anybody out specifically because I don't want to sound like I'm blaming any specific person, but you'll have somebody on, like for women, you'll have a woman that realistically kind of prostituted her way to where she's at in life, which is fine, no judgment, of course, but then the statements that they give trickle down to all of like the normal people, and it like poisons their mentality, like, oh, he don't love you if you don't do this, like all these kinds of different things. Like, what's homegirl on TikTok? I said I wasn't gonna call out specific names, but what she do is sprinkle or some shit.
Yeah, for her name, something with an S.
Yeah, like stuff like that. And some of the stuff that she's saying is not necessarily wrong either.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like that. Like those become the poster children,
Yeah.
and they are the ones that are influencing the way that other people think. And 9 times out of 10, really 10 times out of 10, those people are not the people you should be listening to. The people you
and
should.
The way that you know they should be listening to it is the people. A lot of people who push their like ideology. Nobody's living the life that they swear, like everything they're saying. No, how come nobody's living it? If this is the way of life, then why aren't none of you guys a living proof of it?
Right, and that's why instead of looking to social media for advice or to think about how to go about doing certain things, literally the best way to do that is to speak with the people that are actually in these positions. I don't understand why there's like community built off of people that don't have shit.
Literally,
like it's a community built off people,
wishful thinking,
right?
Literally,
and idealism, right? Like, why do people not look toward the people that have been married for 50 years on their advice
on marriage,
on relationships and marriage, but you're gonna listen to Miss Bend It Over on Instagram with 1 million followers? Like, she's not gonna be the,
or people's advice on 50-50. No one wants to listen to actual couples who are successful, everyday couples. They want to listen to the 1% in the world of Instagram models and rapper baby mamas who get cheated on and dogged out. That's who you're listening to,
right? Or the
Sweetie
women
with no successful relationship. You want to hear listen to her about 6 figures, 8 figures, whatever she's saying.
Or the women that are getting the man to pay for everything, he probably hates you.
He probably I mean, I don't want to put this on everybody, but like, you know, there's definitely abuse involved, cheating, whole bunch of stuff. Is it real love? Yeah, I think there's definitely real love out there. People who have 100%, but there's always usually a power dynamic in those situations. Always.
Yeah, and he probably hates his life. He might not hate you, but he definitely hates his life.
Yeah.
And let me not even put that on everybody. I think more often than not, I would
Yeah.
say he probably hates his life.
That's not every single
because some
case,
men
yeah.
would rather spend it down to the negatives.
Yeah.
To pay for their woman because it makes them feel like a man and all that other
Yeah.
stuff. But more likely than not, the man hates his life.
Yeah, especially in
because-
this day and age. Like, this economy is literally brutal.
Right. People don't. We know the
People
numbers.
can't even afford to pay for themselves. People who still living with their parents and they talking about 50 for relationships. Bitch, move out your parents' house first. You can't even afford to live 100. Like, let's be fucking honest.
Yeah.
I'm just being real. People who can't even afford to move out of their parents' home and they want to talk about being catered by a man. Like, you can't even do it for yourself. I only respect that opinion from women who could do it for their own. If you want to be taken care of by a man and you could do 100% your own, okay, fine. I agree.
I think
But the woman that can't even do it for their own saying that shit be pissing me off. Like, you can't even do it for yourself.
Right. I think that people's expectations of, I mean, people obviously do whatever you want. I really legitimately don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, because I'm like a principled person, I like very textbook, one-to-one, everything's black and white to me. I think that you shouldn't demand any more than you can do for yourself.
Exactly.
And that's where
If
it
you
should
can't
start.
pay for yourself 100%, then don't demand that from man. Like, you still on your parents' phone plan, on your parents' car insurance, on your parents' everything, and you want that. You think a man's gonna be able to pay for all that for you and himself.
Remember, before we moved in together, that was always my thing that I said. We should never live anywhere where one of us couldn't pay for everything
On our own. Yeah.
So this kind of
even
the
if
same
our
thing.
salaries are different, if I can afford it on my own and you can afford it on your own, then we shouldn't do it together.
Yeah. Unless there's something like ridiculous disparity.
Yeah.
Where it's like me or you is up 30 million.
Yeah.
And we live in a $10 million house.
But thank God this newest job I got closed the gap between us a lot. I'm back up with you. 6-figure game.
Wait till a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, you better get a raise.
And then
Don't worry, I'm about to get my CPA. I'm coming.
And then another one in January.
Oh yeah. I forgot every January we get our annuals.
It's like shit.
And I'm gonna get my
Since
CPA.
last time I got.
Oh yeah. Put it away.
Go and get in with me.
Put it. I'm on my grill. You told me not to get the one from Scotty. You said it was too much.
Yeah, because he was taxing.
$2,000 for 3 teeth. Is not
driving that Mazda Civic.
I really do want it though, babe. I really want it. So I don't know.
Look for girls right now.
I know.
You got anything else?
No, I feel like that was a good conversation. It kind of just flowed. We didn't have no specific topics. It kind of just flowed from one to another. We talked about Kamala and her identity, and then the parasocial relationships, and just. I know people who might watch this consistently probably do think I hate women though.
I mean, but I hate men too.
I'm
right?
the biggest critic of my own.
Yeah, of your own people. Right?
But there's no progress when the way that we move and operate. There's gonna be no progress. We're gonna be stuck forever in these stupid, narrow-minded, like mindsets. So,
right. That's what I said for me.
of course, I'm the most critical of us because I want better.
We should go watch the Olympics.
We should.
Want to go to them?
In Rockefeller? Yeah. Watch party? We should.
It's open 24/7.
Oh, look, we're about to be in Paris and Bordeaux.
Sit in Bordeaux, out in Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Have the lights
that's
flashing on the
gonna be a
photo.
fire caption. Oh man. That's gonna be so hard. I can't wait. I'm wearing these boots when we go. We're gonna be free. I can't wait.
Yeah. I think men, my best advice, just be cool. Like anything that falls outside of the criteria of being cool.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. You should be chill. You shouldn't be attacking women on the internet. It's not cool.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing, honestly, really a lot of things. You shouldn't be doing people dirty. That's not cool. You should care about your family. That's cool. You should care about your health. You should care about your money. You should care about your mental health, which falls into health, but you got to highlight that specifically because men have a significantly higher suicide rate than women. You should care about your friends and making sure they're good, but deeper than just playing video games.
Yeah.
Like really make sure they're good.
That is something a lot of women criticize men for, that a lot of their relationships. Like people are like, oh, why do men's friendships last longer than women's friendships? But some women are right with this, but they say they feel because a lot of men's friendships are very surface level. Like there's no in-depth conversations. It's very just like, oh, let's hang out. Let's do this. It's never, how are you feeling? Oh, you shouldn't do this. Don't cheat on your girl. Don't do that. It's never like productive. It's just, let's go fuck bitches, smoke hookahs, and play fucking 2K. Not all, but.
That sound like a great life.
No. Where's the constructive criticism and like wanting better for your fellow man and for him to do right by his woman and do like it's never none of that.
Yeah, I would say more often than not, then that's true. But there's definitely men will definitely hold other men accountable.
No, there's definitely a lot of authentic friendships with them. I'm not saying that's like
Yeah.
a catch all, but it's definitely a
Like,
lot of surface level I feel like friendships too with men.
I saw a video the other day and people were like, it was a group of women. They all looked like women, and they walked by. It was like a group of like 12 of them, and then there was two guys walking by, and one of the guys turned around and was like, everybody was intoxicated. Honestly, it didn't look like the Lower East Side, but it looked like Lower East Side activities.
Like vibes, yeah.
Yeah, and the one guy friend like turned around like he was about to go talk to them, and then the other guy friend took him like turning right back around. Like these things do happen, but of course, like social media, it's a lot of like sports talk and not necessarily deeper conversations. But that's a whole nother day. Talk about men and their emotions, psychology.
Yeah, because that's a whole nother conversation about like, because I think women sometimes have had a hand in that, and men too, because men are the one that push this whole be tough thing to their other, to their sons. But I do feel like a lot of like single moms have hardened their sons as well, and like try to use their sons as a replacement of their husbands that left. So I mean, it still kind of circles back to the husbands and being wrong, but there's a lot of nuance and breakdown of these conversations that I feel like the best way to grow and learn from them is to acknowledge them. I feel like that's the issue with a lot of our people, or just people in general. No one acknowledges the hurt and stuff that's like damaged them, and they just continue to hurt.
Yeah, say something bothers you.
Yeah, like when I see like people now our age having kids and they're doing the same thing that their parents did to them, it literally makes me cringe. I'm like, are you not trying to have any type of change? Like you're messed up because of how your parents raised you, and you're gonna do the same exact things. Like where's the development and growth? Like, and I feel like a lot of people like. There's only so much you could blame your past traumas without trying to change and do better, and like acknowledging the past traumas and growing from them. You can't be a victim to your own traumas forever. Like, do better.
I think a lot of it has to do with sometimes you don't know what a
situation
really is until you're in it.
Or they don't know how much it damaged them. Yeah.
And you, more likely than not, I mean, having kids is hard, right? It's not always a money situation thing. But yeah, if you're not mentally ready and monetarily ready, then don't do it, because then all you're going to do is just repeat most likely what your situation was, because most families everybody's just getting by barely.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, I don't know who watched our podcast, right? Like, obviously, I love my sister, I love my nephew, but I do feel like some of the stuff that's going on, like in her relationship and like the drama that she's kind of like introducing to her son, like you're not realizing in real time though. Like you're like the stuff that like you're complaining about that our parents did to us, like you're low key doing that to your own son and don't even realize it, because like you're putting him in these situations where his brain is fresh and developing, and those are such important days. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like don't want to put her business out there, but I just feel like this, like, we should be learning from the things that were wrong from our parents and wanting better for our kids and the next generation. So I think that's a lot of the issues in this country and in this world are boiled down to people not acknowledging the damage and then doing the work to change things for themselves and for their future generation. Yeah. Like being a victim to your own trauma for life sounds miserable. Like imagine living a life and just blaming other factors for what it is instead of just creating a new reality for yourself. It just seems really crazy to me. And we only have one life as far as we know. This is it. So you should live it the best way you want to. Go
get that money.
Yeah.
Well, this has been the A Couple of Things podcast, where we talked about a couple of things, and we will see you guys.
About a few things. Next week? Well, maybe. We don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we always up to something.
Yeah, I know. And what's happening next weekend? I don't know. I think we have plans next weekend. Oh, no, that's not next weekend. The Party Next Door concert, that's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything next weekend.
We do, but we'll talk about it offline. See y'all.